Hi, Kathleen Mailer here. I am the founder of A Book Is Never a Book boot camp. Write, publish, and market your own how-to book now. I'm also Canada's leading authority on self-publishing, and I'm an author myself of 36 books, soon to be 37. Today, I have an urgent message for you. This past weekend, I got to thinking about all of the people that we had that are registered in our boot camp coming up here on April 5th and 6th in Calgary. They are so incredible and courageous and creative and powerful. I mean, these people are really taking steps of faith, not knowing what to expect really, but deciding to finally face their fears and obstacles and step forward, declaring, "It's my time." When they made the decision to sign up for the boot camp, they made a decision not to have their story be one of disappointment. You know what I'm talking about. Yet another year has gone by and I haven't done anything on my book. You know what I'm talking about. One of frustration. I don't even know where I would start. I have so much inside of me and I just, they say to me, "Kathleen, I just started writing and I just can't seem to get anything out." Or a story of defeat where they're feeling sad because they know they have to get this book out there, but they just are just lost. They're not having a story that lack of money stopped me, or lack of time, or worse, a disobedience to their true calling. No, instead, they decided to overcome their fears and obstacles. Like so many others that went on before them, they stepped up to the plate and said, "Finally, I'm going to make my story one of true victory." I'm going to give you a few examples of some people who have made those decisions and what's happened to them. I'm going to make it really quick. Let's talk about this author, Lisa St. Julian Kroger. You know, Lisa was really living a double life. She faced her abuser every day, day in and day out. During the day, she compassionately counseled men and women who were victims of domestic violence. And when she got home, she experienced a worse fate. Can you imagine the shame and the pain in all of that? When she was free, she had a decision to make. She had to decide to find her voice. And you know when that came? That day came when she woke up, now a single mom, and she heard on the news that a woman was violently murdered by her husband. And they live in this small community. The community was racked with rage and fear and pain. She knew, like many of you, that she had to share her message. A tell-all book could actually save lives. Now, with the help of her book, Unmask the Liar, the platform is now open to media like TV and radio. And she's speaking into the lives of hundreds of women to help them see that they don't have to stay stuck where they're at. That if they shed light on this situation, things can change. You know, right after that first murder, the same community had another incident. A second murder under the same circumstances. But now that Lisa found her voice, she could help others. Tell me, what would happen if she had decided to wait to share her story? How many other women and men would suffer the same fate? Something to think about. She had lots of obstacles to overcome just like you. I mean, she was a single mom. But you know what? Being a single mom doesn't stop people who are ready to achieve and change things. It is actually something that comes to be part of their story of triumph. She had to overcome the obstacle of coming up with the money to come to the boot camp and to get her book published and to get it out there. But she did it because she didn't let it stop her. She also had to take time off work like many of you have to do. She had to overcome fear. "Kathleen, what happens if I name certain names?" That's a good question. She got those answers that day. She had to overcome frustration. "I don't know where I need to start." She knew she needed to write a book. She declared it, and just a short time later, our paths crossed. I don't believe in coincidence, do you? She had to overcome the anger of the situation. She's just so angry because this is senseless. It doesn't have to be this way. People being murdered, people being in fear for their lives. It doesn't have to be like that. She had to overcome being nervous. She doesn't know what to expect. She had to overcome the fear of what would others think. She had to overcome, would anyone read it? I'm telling you, all of us face these kinds of fears. It's nothing new. I want to talk to you about Pastor Mel Mullen. He wrote this wonderful book called Be a Man. What I really like is the part where it says, a real look at real men facing real issues. You know, Be a Man in this fatherless society that we live in right now is a reference guide, and it's one of the best books I've ever seen on the market today. It's not just for the guys. I mean, it really isn't. As a wife, it gave me great insight on being able to help my husband be the man he was called to be. And you know, I have a friend, so I passed the book on, bought her one. A single mom, she's trying to raise her 2 children, a boy and a girl, without a father. Now, how does she give her son the information he needs to become a healthy, loving, caring man in his future? A book. A book truly helps. You know, Pastor Mel had to overcome lots of obstacles too. And these 2 obstacles that I want to talk about is something that I think you can relate to. Like every other pastor out there, one of his biggest obstacles was trying to set aside time to write the book. I mean, we have to think about time frames. I know you have a busy life. Of anyone in the world, Pastor Mel is one who could legitimately use that excuse that he hasn't got time to write. However, when I taught him the formula that I'm going to teach in the boot camp, he was able to chunk out and carve out time properly in order to put the book together. I'm so proud of him because he goes around the world and speaks to churches everywhere. And yet, he's able to give this wonderful testimony and resource to make an impact. How about you? He also had to overcome some frustration, like didn't know where to start. I found out that it took him 40 years. He has a book on his heart that he wants to write, and that's coming up next, so be watching for it. But it took him 40 years to find me. He tried taking other writing courses, and nothing seemed to click for him. But again, when I showed him the formula, showed him how to write a book, he just went crazy. The book came out in record-breaking time. No more waiting. Now, let me ask you this. How many pastors, trainers, business leaders, Christians have a gift of a powerful testimony that's sitting right in here on the shelf inside of them? Can you imagine what our world would be like if every person was able to get it out of here and into here and make an impact? Can you imagine how different our world would be if you and I were able to share what we've learned, what we've been through with another? I'll talk to you one more story about Paul Larson. Now, he wrote this book, Too Afraid to Live, Too Scared to Die. What's really interesting about Paul is that it was about 10 years ago that our paths crossed. And this really speaks to the longevity of an investment into humanity via a book. I mean, it was 10 years ago. Now, Paul had some big obstacles to overcome. He didn't even know what his purpose was. It was fuzzy. He's not sure if he had anything of value to share. He didn't have any credentials. He totally came to the boot camp on faith. And you know what he found? He found his purpose in that book. This book speaks to a life of a person who's going through drug and alcohol abuse and suicide. And he, in that book, has the answer to lasting and permanent change. So much so that Athabasca University actually has his book on their syllabus. What that means is, in simple terms, is that the nursing students have to have it as criteria for their program so that they can get into the hearts and the minds of people who are going through those afflictions. He spoke, I remember watching him speak to a human resource event. There was hundreds of corporations that were seeking him out to help the people in their corporations. He touched lives and still is touching them now. 10 years later, he's going into his 3rd edition of the book. Let me ask you something. Over these years, 10 years, he has helped men and women in the situation of drug and alcohol abuse to be able to understand what needs to happen for that to change. And those who are afflicted with suicide, but not only them, but their families, an idea of what to do. How can we help? What can we make a difference with? Because our loved ones are going through all these things. Over the years, thousands of people he's touched. Now, what if he decided to wait until now because he was afraid? He didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. He didn't think anyone else would want to read the book and that those things would stop him from moving forward. More importantly, where would we be without that? We're talking about suicide, drugs and alcohol. If he waited and those thousands weren't helped, then what? Now, let me tell you a quick story about the consequences of someone who waited. And it's my story. In 1997, I was running a company and I was getting the same questions from clients over and over again. And they asked me, the exact same question. So I decided I'd put it into a book. It started in 1997, but here's what happened. It took me forever to write that book. That was one of the obstacles that I had to write. I didn't know how to put it together. I didn't know how to write it. I had so much inside of me, I just wanted to emotionally barf it all into one book. And it kept me really stuck for a long time. The second obstacle I had to overcome was my mindset. I had that guy inside of me, you know what I lovingly refer to as your inner terrorist. The guy that says, who would read it? Do you know how many business books there are out there? Oh, come on, you haven't got any criteria for this. You're not smart enough, you're not good enough, yada, yada, yada. I fought that. Obstacles. The third obstacle I had to overcome was one of, I didn't have money to put this together. I didn't know how to put anything together. I had to figure out how to market my book. Another obstacle I had to overcome was just one of no one giving me any information. Back then, 14 years ago, there was no one who would share the information. So, I started writing in 1997. At the end of 1998, I found out that my dad had cancer. And I wanted more than anything for my dad to see my book. Well, here's what happened. Because I took so long overcoming the obstacles, I was 1 week too late. And as I started digging in a fresh grave and sticking my first little book in the ground, I realized something. Life is way too short to sit on a legacy, to sit on your purpose. And I made a promise to my dad a few weeks before he passed away that I would share what I had with the world. He said I was a mentor and a teacher, and I am. And you know what? 14 years later, almost to the day, right now as we're taping this, I'm still sharing the value of what I got in that time and helping others do the same. Because I will tell you, a book is still one of the most powerful gifts that you can give to someone else. It's the most powerful and easy way of getting your message out to the masses. Just as a side note, that book went on to its 3rd edition, and I just retired it this year. I have a new book coming out that will replace it. I'm so excited, aren't you? Okay, so there are 3 things that I really want you to get, and I mean really get, right here in your gut. Number 1, it's time for you to take a stand. What will it be? What do you stand for? Are you holding on to your voice? Are you shoving it down? Or are you ready to take a stand and make a difference? Number 2, imagine. I want you to imagine with me again what the world would be like if it was free from the problem that you were created to solve. I'm going to say it again. What would happen if the world was free from the problem that you were created to solve? Not me, but you were created to solve. It's done. What would our world look like? If the world was rid of poverty, what would that look like? If the world was rid of children being abused, what would that look like? If the world was rid of domestic violence, what would that look like? If the world was rid of drugs and alcohol, if the world was rid, you get my meaning. And number 3, and here's what I want you to write down. The hell you've been through, I said it, the hell you've been through is truly the platform to your purpose. Let me say that again. The hell you've been through is truly the platform to your purpose. Yes, it was hell, wasn't it? There was struggling and a lost hope, and you felt fear and frustration and pain and suffering. It was hell, but you can make the changes. You can decide today that there are roses that come up from that place. Now, if you've already signed up for our boot camp, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for stepping out and deciding to make an impact on our world. This will be a revolutionary, life-changing event, not just for you, oh no, but for the nations of the world. Can you imagine all of us coming together in a nucleus and being able to be released after the weekend is done? But I was wondering if you could do me a favor. For those of you who already signed up, do you remember earlier we talked about knowing others who need to tell their story? Think about some pastors, trainers, leaders in business, your friends, your family, your clients, your colleagues, those people who have a calling like this on their life. They need to get their story told. Would you please share this video with them? Send it in an email, share it through social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or pick up the darn phone and make a call to them. We don't have a lot of time. This is urgent. Never underestimate how powerful your influence is on others. I really want to thank you for that, for your sharing and your caring to do that. And for those who have just tuned in, welcome. I hope I didn't scare you with my truth-telling. I know I can be a bit harsh, but please also know that I do it out of a place of love. The longer you wait to do this, the harder you'll have to work to make up for lost time. Trust me, I know. I also want you to understand this. For some of you listening right now, people are literally dying for your information. What have you been through that you didn't think you would be through, and here you are on the other side? How did that happen? How long do you want to procrastinate, knowing, and I know you know you're meant to do this? How long are you going to procrastinate? Please do not hoard your story. Hoarding begets such a small, insignificant life. You are called to live large and be free. Do greater things. Please do not let time or distance or fear of any sort, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of your power, fear of others. Don't let unknowing what you want to write about. Don't let money get in the way. Don't let anything stop you from attending this workshop. And I'm talking to those of you who know that you know that you know you need to be there. We're wrapping it up. It's just around the corner. Make today the right decision. We only have one of these per year. April 5th and 6th now in Calgary. And, the next one won't be till next April. And I know that's right around the corner. But just go to www.abookisneverabook.com. www.abookisneverabook.com. In closing, I just want to share with you a small snippet of my new song. And it's one I just wrote, and I think it's very fitting. It's time to take a stand. What will it be? Come on now, child, it's your eternity. Heaven, it's a real place, but then so is hell. How do I know? Let me ask you, how are you living right now? Remember, in order to create a movement, you have got to move. You've got to take action. So again, go to www.abookisneverabook.com and register today. Share this with others, pastors, trainers, friends, clients, colleagues. I'll see you soon, where we change lives forever, where we teach you at the boot camp to write your book, to publish it, to get it out there, and to learn how to market it. Because one without the other won't get you anywhere near your goals and your dreams. See you soon.